So let me begin with a reflection on the nature of strategy today. When I first started in the field, which is some years ago now, everybody that was the cool kids were all doing industry analysis. And so you would do order of entry, you would look at R&D intensity. And at that time, the goal of strategy was considered to be the creation of a sustainable competitive advantage, an advantage that would last for a long, long time. And that's wonderful if you can find one. Here's the dilemma that I see in that more and more parts of our economy, it doesn't look like that anymore. In fact, what we're dealing with more and more is a world of transient advantage, where the advantage is created. That's the innovation process. Then you have that wonderful period of exploitation where you get to enjoy the advantage that you've created. And then what happens? Competitors catch up. Markets change, customers decide to go with a different solution, and your advantage comes under pressure. So you can predict that. And eventually, in many cases, it also goes into decline. So here's my core thesis about competitive advantage. We increasingly need to get better at each of the life cycle stages of a competitive advantage. We need to get smarter about innovation. We need to understand how to exploit an advantage that we've created, and then we need to get comfortable with the idea that some advantages are going to disappear and some advantages are no longer going to be relevant. So the core idea here is look at the pattern. Look at the pattern. Again, what you see is the emergence of something new, the triumph of that something new for a little while, and then it gets replaced by something else. So the first big idea is that if this is what the pattern looks like outside your organization, you need to have a similar amount of variety, a similar amount of dynamism inside your organization. Now, the critical question I often get asked at this juncture is, well, how do I know when these things are going to change, and how do I try to make sure I'm not missing something? And this gets to some critical work that I've been doing about strategic inflection points. And this was a term that got invented by Andy Grove back in the 90s. And he was talking about Intel's journey from being a company that largely made memory capacities to a company that was making microprocessors, a completely different category of product. And how challenging that was for them to make that transition. And so a strategic inflection point, in my definition, is something that changes the fundamental assumptions on which your business is based. Any business is born at a certain point in time. It's created when certain things are possible and certain things are not. What an inflection point does is it changes what's possible. It changes what's possible. And if you're looking at your business through the lens of what used to be the limitations and possibilities of its history, it is very easy to miss a strategic inflection point. Now the good news, and there's really good news in this, is they take a really long time to come into being.